Song of Achilles, Greek heroes. Song of Achilles, Greek heroes. Never mind. Hello everyone, how are you? How are you doing today? Are you drinking water? Are you taking care of yourself? If not, we'll have a talk. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Erin, for those of you who haven't been here before. You may have seen I have some scattered videos throughout the years, but I'm here and I'm here to post more regular content. I have some video ideas that I'm really excited about. So let's go on a journey together, friends. We're gonna have a good time. So yeah, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am here to talk to you about the books that I've been reading this summer. So I just recently graduated from college with a degree in theater, which was very exciting. But if you've ever been a student before, you know it's really hard to be a student and also do things for pleasure. So reading for pleasure has kind of fallen to the wayside the past couple years. But then I graduated and went apeshit this summer because I was like, oh, I can read whatever I want, whenever I want, just for fun. So I read a lot of great books this summer and I want to tell you about them. But before I do, if you want to see more content like this or more content from me in general, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be making a variety of different content, still talking about books, obviously. That's why I'm sitting in front of my bookshelf. Also, the location's probably going to change. I just graduated with a degree in theater. I should know how to do a self-tape, but typically I don't do them sitting on the floor in front of my bookshelf, so just bear with me. But anyway, so yeah, more videos about books, but also vlogs, lifestyle videos, random stuff, decorating for the holidays, maybe. I don't know if that sounds like fun. If you want advice about something, I don't know why you would ask me, but you're certainly welcome to. Just let me know and I'll do what you want me to do, I guess. Yeah, so if you have any suggestions for things that you would like to see, definitely let me know in the comments, but make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss anything. Alright, and without further ado, let's get into the books. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about was the Mortal Instruments series by Cassandra Clare. So I've read everything except, I'm going to set these down. I've read everything except for The City of Heavenly Fire because I just literally got it yesterday in the mail from Amazon, which is also why it doesn't match. So like I said, I just got this one, so if you want to talk about the Mortal Instruments series in the comments, please don't say anything about that one because I've gone this long without getting spoiled for the series. Let me have my peace, okay? But if you don't know, the Mortal Instruments series follows Clary Frey. She lives in New York City with her mom and her mom's best friend Luke. He's really cool. He owns a bookstore. That's not the point. But one night she goes to this club called the Pandemonium Club with her best friend Simon, and she witnesses a murder. And when she goes to get help, the body just completely disappears. There's no trace of blood left behind, nothing. She's the only one who witnesses it. And so this basically launches her into the world of the Shadow Hunters. So Shadow Hunters are half human, half angel, and they are kind of on the earth to rid it of demons, basically. And so she meets the Shadow Hunters, Jace and Isabel and Alec, and kind of gets just launched into this new side of the world that she never knew before, and also about some things in her life and her past that she never knew before either. I've really enjoyed reading the series so far. If you haven't read the series, don't worry, all of these are going to be spoiler-free reviews, but if you are interested in a more in-depth detailed review and you have read the series and you would like to see a video on that, definitely let me know. I would be happy to do that. Simon is definitely my favorite. He's a very nerdy character, but he's super endearing. Just the way that he interacts in relation to this new world and receives and processes the new knowledge that he gets is really very sweet and funny to watch. And he's a really funny character too. He's got jokes. Man's got jokes. So I love Simon. Without going into spoilers, I will say I'm not 100% a fan of the main relationship. It's not that I don't want it to succeed, but there are just certain things that I'm nah, I'm not entirely sold on it. You can try to convince me. Maybe I'll be convinced on it, set on it, big fan of it after I read the last book. But as of right now, I'm a little back and forth as to whether or not I like it. I will say no more, but I'm going to leave it at that. And the last thing I wanted to say is I do want to read at some point, not right away, the other books the other series in this world, especially because I think it's not like a politics heavy book, but with any kind of new world creation comes a new sort of set of politics in that world. So I really enjoy reading about how they kind of interact with that side of the world as well. Another thing is this was originally supposed to be a trilogy, and then she wrote the second half of the series later on. Not super late, but a little bit later on. So I was a little bit nervous, especially after finishing the third book, because you can tell it's supposed to be an ending. And there's like one loose end, sort of, but the series could have ended there. So I was like, how is she gonna continue this? And basically, like, that loose end becomes like a major part of the plot in the second half of the series, and I think it's so smart that the way that she did that, and makes for really interesting plots even in the second half of the series, which I was a little nervous about, but overall really enjoyed. So I would definitely give this series a try if you haven't already. It's super popular for a reason. It's a great series, and I would highly recommend it. All right, so the next two books I read, I don't actually have physical copies of because I read them as like ebooks borrowed from my library. But the first one is The Song of Achilles, by Madeline Miller. So this follows Patroclus and Achilles. You know, Achilles' heel, that's the one. So it follows their relationship from childhood to adulthood. Basically, Patroclus at a very young age is exiled from his kingdom, and comes to the kingdom that Achilles' father rules over, and is taken in as Achilles' companion. So you get to see them grow up together, you get to see them train together, and eventually go to war together when Helen of Sparta is kidnapped, and you know the war. Achilles, in order to fulfill his hero's prophecy, has to go off and fight in the war, and Patroclus goes with him. And it is a love story, and it is so good. Oh, I loved it so much. Oh, it was emotional. It was delicious. Highly recommend. Something that I really enjoy about this is if you have read mythology before, typically it's told from a more kind of objective perspective, but you don't really get like the inner lives of characters. It's just like, this is what happened and that's why we have the sun. But this is obviously told from a point of view, and so not only do you get more complexities to the characters, but it's not so much focused on these like major Greek heroes. Like Achilles is a main character, but not because he's a Greek hero. It's because of his relationship with Patroclus, so it's a different side of the Achilles that you normally hear about. And also with some of the other Greek heroes like Menelaus and people like that. Oh gosh, what is the name of the other one? Hang on. Bro. Is it Agamemnon? Odysseus. Jesus Christ. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I remember where I was. You see characters like Agamemnon and Odysseus, who are huge characters in Greek history and literature and mythology, but they're just side characters in this, and again, it's all in their relation to Patroclus. So it's super cool to kind of get these different perspectives, especially once we get to Troy and see the kind of struggle for power between all of these like huge leaders, like military leaders. So that part is really interesting, and there's genuinely no character. I mean, there are characters that are supposed to be more antagonistic, and there's one that comes in at the end that I just hate. But other than him, you don't really like despise, at least I didn't like hate any of the characters, but they're all like so interesting to read about, and so I really enjoyed that. And it's also, she has a way of like breathing life into just like these ancient Greek huge tales that you've heard 1,000 times before, but to make it exciting and surprising and complex and atmospheric without being overly flowery or detailed. And I really enjoyed it. And the relationship between Patroclus and Achilles, it just, I have no words. Madeline Miller has lots of words. I have none. Just read it. It's very good. Very heartbreaking, but so good. I want to get my own copy just to annotate it because there are so many quotable passages that I would read and then have to just read it several more times to be like, that was, that was genius. So I want to get my own copy to annotate it. But yeah, highly recommend The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. Hello friends, Editing Erin here. So as I was editing, I realized that my entire clip for Conversations with Friends by Sally Rooney was completely out of focus, but I wanted to make sure that I did recommend it and talk about it just a little bit because it was one of my favorite books that I read this summer. Very briefly, it's about two best friends and former lovers, Francis and Bobby, and the messy relationship that they get into with an older married couple, Nick and Melissa. There's lots of morally gray characters. It's very stream of consciousness type writing, which is super interesting and something that's unique to Sally Rooney that I found. It's sort of like a slice of life type book, so if all of that sounds like something that's down your alley, then I would definitely recommend picking it up. And yeah, back to your regularly scheduled programming. Alrighty, and the last book that I read this summer, well actually it's the first book that I read this summer, but the last book for the video is The Actor's Life, A Survival Guide by Jenna Fischer. If you don't know Jenna Fischer, if you've ever seen The Office, yes you do. This is Pam. So it's basically just a survival guide for people making a career in acting, told from her experience and the advice that she's gotten from professionals in the industry, her colleagues like casting directors and managers and agents and fellow actors. She also has sort of like a series of interviews in the back of the book about, because obviously she can only sort of speak from her experience, so she does a little Q&A session at the end of the book with other actors and other professionals, so you kind of get some different perspectives based off of their experiences as well, which is really cool. I thought that this was a really great book to read. This was, I think, the first book that I read after I graduated, and I think it was the perfect book. It was a nice kind of consolidated reminder of a lot of the important things I had been learning in school, but also there was some like very like niche information that you would only get from her perspective and just her experience, and things that I wouldn't think to ask. Like she had one thing that I think I have a lot of annotation in this one, but there's one that's essentially like, if you are a woman and are wanting to pursue acting in LA and need a place to stay that is cheap but is also relatively safe, here's a list of neighborhoods you should look at, which I was like, oh, that's so useful, but I wouldn't think about asking that specific question, you know? And then there's like book recommendations, one of which I just picked up and I'm really liking so far. So it was great to kind of get a reminder of some stuff, get some new information, and also it kind of helped me set kind of intentions and focus going forward, as opposed to just being like grasping at straws in midair. That's not the phrase, whatever, you know what I mean. Having just graduated and not knowing what the hell I'm doing. I still don't, but now I'm like, at least I have priorities, you know? That helped me with it. So if you're an actor and you're trying to pursue acting as a career, whether you're a younger actor or an older actor, I would recommend this book for everybody. It's got a lot of great information, some really great reminders as well. And yeah, I would highly recommend you guys pick it up. If you're not an actor, I personally don't think that you would like this book because it really is focused on like what you need to do as an actor specifically. It's less about like, it's not like a biography essentially. So if you're like, I want to learn about Jenna Fischer's life, this ain't it. But if you're interested in learning more about what goes into an acting career and you, maybe there's someone in your life who does it or something like that, I would recommend picking this up because it has a lot of really great information about that. All right, and those are all the books that I read this summer. Like I said before, if you have any recommendations for what you would like to see me do next, definitely make sure to leave that in the comments down below. Also, if you have book recommendations or if you've read any of these books and want to have a little discussion about them, I would love that. So please discuss in the comments. I just ask that you don't put any spoilers, just in case anybody who hasn't read the books happens to see your comment, and I don't want anybody to get something ruined for them. So yeah, but spoiler-free discussion, please, 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 down in the comment section. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye!